Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Dope. I'm your host, Maui. I'm very excited. We took a couple weeks off for some personal issues. I'm really excited to be back, first of all. And I haven't done like a really good interview in a while. So I'm really excited because I have like a whole panel of people to talk about tonight. Talk about their love of cosplay. We're gonna have a conversation about the culture of cosplay. To join me, helping me with some co-hosting duties today, because my regular co-host Stephanie is not around today. Graciously at the last second, agreed to hop in. My good friend Shelly Mack. Shelly, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I fortunately just had enough time to change my shirt and, put on a little bit of way too bright of lipstick and hop on in. But you know what? We're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Super, super excited. If you're watching, be sure to share the link with your friends. If you want people to tune in, you can comment live, ask questions. If you have any questions about cosplay or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the chat. Would love to have it. Let's introduce our amazing panel and just hop right into it because I know one of our panelists has some time constraints with the karaoke. First up, we have HDC. HDC, how you doing, bud?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we have Jazzy. Jazzy, how you doing?
Hi.
It's so good
How
to
are
have
you
you.
guys?
Oh, we're really good, really good. Thanks for being on today.
Of course, of course.
And last but not least, we have Oriana Perron. Oriana, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm so good. I'm so good. Let's just hop right into it. I'm really excited to talk about cosplay with all of you. So as I just revealed to you right before we started, I've always been very enamored with cosplay, but I've never actually done it. And so, my first question, I'm very curious, what first got you into cosplaying or got you interested in it? Were you like influenced by cosplayers that you saw, or was it more through your love of like comics or film or something like that?
I honestly didn't know it was a thing. I'd always loved Halloween and uh, just making things for Halloween, and in general, just making costumes or doing like weird makeup stuff. And after college, I hadn't done anything for a while, and just all of a sudden one summer, I was like, I'm gonna make something for Halloween this year. So I'd been reading up on like steampunk stuff, and I've always been like a big Nikola Tesla fanboy, so I wanted to do that. And I, through my studying on the aesthetic and some other things for that, I uh, found out about a couple local conventions and like a steampunk convention, and started to go into those, and just all went from there. That was pretty much the end of it.
I
And it
love
was
it.
2012.
You've been doing it for a while. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Jazzy, what about you?
Well, when I started cosplaying, especially on bringing it to social media, there weren't a lot of cosplayers that looked like me. So now there's a ton, and I'm living for it. But back then, this was about 4.5 years ago. There was none that looked like me, and I remember I posted my first photo, and it was like a Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls photo, and it was super cringy now. But back then, people were obsessed. They're like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! She's cosplaying!" And then I started a YouTube channel, and my friends were like, "My daughter watches you because you look like her," and I'm just like, this is why. So after that, it just became a thing, and I've met so many amazing new friends, and the Black cosplayers in Chicago are so dope. We have the most fun, and our communities are so great. And I guess it just all started from one day just wanting to see someone that looked like me in cosplay.
I love that.
I love that.
Oriana, how about you?
So I actually, like HGC, didn't know that cosplay was a thing. I was 19, and a couple of my friends were like, "Hey, we all love Sailor Moon, and we're going to Anime Central." And I was like, "What's Anime Central?" And they were like, "It's a cosplay convention where people dress up like their favorite characters and walk around." And I was like, "Wait, I could dress up like Sailor Moon and walk around?" And they were like, "Yeah, we'll make you a costume." And so my friend decided that she was going to be like a one woman costume creator, and made like 8 Sailor Moon cosplays for our entire group. It was a huge undertaking on her part. And I found there was a costume store in town, and I got like a Lady Godiva wig. And I like, like, Lord help me, pulled it into like pigtails off to the side, and like was just like feeling the fantasy. No tights, water balloon titties, no makeup, barely
Water balloon titties, so no hugs.
Barely. No, I hugged. I just took a risk every time. There was like 50% that I could lose a tit. So, and that was 2006. That was a long time ago. And I got addicted like right away. People were just obsessed with our group. They were like, oh my gosh, it's Sailor Man. That's what they called me at the time. That was like their own personal nickname, which I changed to Oriana Perone, which is my drag name. I started drag 9 years ago, and it evolved from my cosplay. But like everything about the community just like drew me in, like doing panels, going on stage and doing skits for the masquerade, going to the rave and dancing in costume, like meeting other people who were just as weird as I am, around other people, and also like people that just love like cartoons enough to like want to be one. So, I'm 35 now and I still cosplay. Like I'm never going to stop at this point.
Fascinating. So in a way, it sounds like, for at least some of you, I don't want to just generalize everyone, but it sounds like through dressing up, you felt more seen. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
Jazzy, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to?
I don't
want to
know.
put you on the spot, but
no, it's okay. It's okay. I think I feel more seen is because I get to see certain characters that when they make a character on TV that looks like me, it's a super big deal. When I see a Black character like in an anime or in a cartoon, I immediately identify. I mean, just having the show Craig of the Creek is just fantastic for representation. And so when it's like, oh, cool, not only do I get to love on this show, but I get to be this character. And then for all the children or all my friends that see me, that brings them the most amount of joy, and I finally feel like we're seen, guys. Like this is us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that. I think I've loved watching like anime change over time too, because it used to be in the 90s and like 92, 93 when Sailor Moon was like newish. The only thing the closest you could get to a person of color was Sailor Pluto, and this like ambiguous kind of tan but still white, like, is she or isn't she? Kind of like, oh, but she's got red eyes, but green hair, but like, and now there's just like full on BIPOC characters, and I think that is.
I love that.
I mean, I just can't even express it in words how amazing that is, and how freeing it is for a lot of my friends to not have to think, oh well, do I have to pick the one vaguely BIPOC character to cosplay if we're going to do a group together? Like, no, you have lots of choices, and also you can cosplay whatever you want. That's a whole other thing, which I'm sure you can talk about, Jazzy, because that's a whole other topic. That's actually, you mentioned 4.5 years, and that's like about how long like the like hashtag Black cosplay has been like very like popular and pushed forward like as a hashtag, as a movement.
So true, especially TikTok with that song, Kanata isn't black. She gonna be black today. Hey, she gonna be black today. Seriously,
everyone I'd ever met.
That song was a cultural reset for Black cosplayers. Because we were like, that's right. We're gonna dress however we want to dress, and you're gonna have to live with it.
Yes. I literally sent that to everybody I'd ever met, but not before I watched it 172,000 times.
That's awesome. Shelly, do you have any questions you wanted to ask?
Well, like much like Maui, my enthusiasm for cosplay, I've never actually done it outside of like Halloween, and not nearly to the extent that any of you guys have done. The other side of that is that I figure skated for many years, and so I have this just love of costumes and the ornamentation and showmanship of all of that. One thing that I always felt with that is that when you get to put on a costume, there's this freedom to not have to feel so restricted into what society or whatever tells you to be, because I'm actually a very shy person, but you put me in a costume and all of a sudden I'm crazy. Is that something that helps pull you or make you more interested or keep you involved in cosplay? Is it just a level of freedom and sort of experimenting with this different persona, or is it something else?
I have to say that like you hit it right on the head. Like something about putting on a cosplay or costume that's very freeing. And as long as I've been going to conventions, like almost 16 years now, like as long as I've been going to conventions, like most folks, including myself, are neurodivergent at conventions, and they're neurodivergent in a full spectrum way. Like, everyone is at different points. Like I have ADHD and major depressive disorder. And so for me, it helps me to just feel like a completely different person. And I can feel like I can like stim like what I'm doing now, like where I'm like excited talking about something. So I'm like making a physical motion to express how I feel is like called stimming. And so I can feel more relaxed doing that. I don't have to do what's called masking, which is pretend that I'm normal and like stop myself from moving, which is exhausting. So I think a lot of cosplayers feel comfortable in cosplay at conventions because we all kind of see ourselves in one another, because of the like inherent like neurodivergentness of cosplayers. And I know that's like kind of a stereotype to say it that way, but I have yet to make a friend in cosplay that was not neurodivergent. So
I 100% agree with you. One, I'm also neurodivergent, so I totally relate. But also, just like I recently went to the Suicide Squad movie premiere with a bunch, and they were like, cosplay is optional, but you should probably dress in cosplay. And just being there with a bunch of cosplayers, it was like because we hadn't cosplayed in a group in a long time. So, before COVID, and it was like our own mini convention. And we were all just like dorking out, taking the most ridiculous pictures you've ever seen, making the most ridiculous videos and Snapchats ever. And it just felt like, oh, we needed this, like a sigh of relief to be around people just like me for just a little bit and just have a good time and just be crazy and ridiculous and embarrassing all together at one time. And you had like people who were invited that weren't cosplayers, and they were like, what is going on over there? They was like, oh no. But it was cool. We had fun. It was great. And I just totally connect with that. Like just being together. It doesn't matter if you even know each other. Like you don't have to know anything about the person next to you that's cosplaying. You will immediately connect with them because it's like its own secret like club of just awesomeness.
Like
that
karaoke.
Sounds or comic books. Like I can walk into any comic book store anywhere probably in the world and like start up a conversation with somebody and talk for 3 hours like we're old friends.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful sense of community I find in fandom. At least it can be a beautiful thing. It can also be quite a toxic thing. But when you're in the right spaces, it can just lead to the most beautiful friendships. So what's the hardest part of cosplaying for y'all? HDC, let's go to you. What's the hardest part of cosplaying for you? I'm curious. It could be like a technical thing or maybe like an emotional thing, however you interpret that question.
I think for me now, at least, so I transitioned this from a hobby to an actual career as far as like prop and costume making and design. So I think like the hardest thing for me is now balancing client work, be it like collectors or convention or costume things, and finding time to make personal stuff. So I've found since I made that transition that I've got a lot less time to make stuff for me. But I enjoy both sides of it. I do like I used to do competitions a lot. Now I'm on the other side and I judge those competitions a lot. But I miss competing. I miss making the crazy giant like showcase costumes. Slowly getting more into it, but yeah, I think that's right now. I think that's the hardest thing for me.
Okay, interesting. Well, the other two of you, like, what's like some like the hardships you find in cosplaying?
Oh, my hardest hardship would be from the beginning, it's always been my body. And it's because female cosplayers are always supposed to look a specific way. And then on top of that, being by POC, our bodies get policed a lot. So sometimes there'll be a girl who doesn't look like me, who's perfectly capable of wearing the same cosplay, but I put it on and it's a problem for Instagram or it's a problem for TikTok. It's sexual or whatever, and it's like, no, this is more than a bikini. Like, this is the same outfit, or this is just a bodysuit. Like, I can't control my body. And for a long time, I wouldn't wear certain cosplays because I was like, oh, my body looks gross. And then one day I just was like, forget it. I'm just gonna wear what I want to wear. And the response I got was so good, and people all the time, they're like, you make me confident to wear the cosplay. And I'm just like, yeah, I stopped caring. But for a long time, it was my body. And now I'm just like, you know what? Them body policing me is not going to get me down. I'm still going to cosplay. I'll just find a different platform. So yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
Like that like, I don't care anymore moment is, it's honestly like a place that we all have to reach. And because when I was cosplaying, I said that I didn't wear tights or makeup for the longest times. I didn't know how to do makeup. Like, my friends would be like, we'd be in the hotel room and they'd be like, all right, Chris, like, shave your legs. And like, you know, a half an hour later, I would have like shaved my legs, and then, you know, they'd slap on whatever CoverGirl Maybelline like mess that they've got in their bags. And like, nobody was the same skin tone. So it was all like, I looked like a party clown. Like, it wasn't cute. And, you know, I don't know what words are inappropriate here.
There's no inappropriate words.
Okay, good. So I ended up on a website called cosfucks.com. And it doesn't exist anymore because it got taken down for hate speech. But like, the whole point of the website was basically just to hate on people. And they posted my photo and they were like, look at his knobby knees. Look at those knobby knees. They're so knobby. Not wearing a tight. So knobby. And I was just like, okay, like that's why I'm on this website, because of my knobby knees. They're bones. I can't reshape my bones. So, but people came to my, like, you know, defense in the comments. They were like, you know, oh, like, they're so nice. They're so nice. Like, you know, fuck you. Like, so like there's a lot of body policing, and has been for a long time. It literally doesn't matter what body you have. Yep. Like, it like literally like doesn't matter. And
that's good to hear. Because like, that's been a major part of like my hesitation over the years. Has been my own like issues with my body. And yeah, you know, so whenever I've thought of like, you know, what could I cosplay as, for the longest time was like, the only thing I can think of doing is Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. Was like which is great. You know, I love Barrett from Final Fantasy, but it could be totally badass. But like, also I for a long time was like, oh yeah, but I couldn't dress up as like Superman or, you know, Batman or any of these other characters who, you know, because
but you can.
Yeah.
But you can,
and that's the thing is, once you realize like Jazzy has and other cosplayers, like, once you like realize like it doesn't matter what you do, like it doesn't matter, because there's gonna always be somebody that has something to say about it. and so
Yeah.
then you just have to like.
That's why I cried
Do
so
it.
hard when I saw
Just
Into the
do it.
Spider-Verse when they were like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and anyone can wear the mask, and I'm just like,
Oh.
kids are sitting next to me like, are you okay, dude? I'm like, I'll be okay.
Well, it's like the end of Buffy where everyone gets to be a Slayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spoilers
Right.
if you haven't seen the end of Buffy. the
Spoilers,
Vampire
they all
Slayer.
get activated.
Like I feel like if you haven't seen the end of Buffy, like it's been long enough.
And Nathan Fillion is not a nice man in it. No.
But yeah, I mean that's like the whole thing that, you know, like what Jazzy said is like you can do it, you can cosplay, you can.
We have a comment here from Daniel King. He says, "Who's the guy that looks like the actor from Netflix's Daredevil?"
Probably HDC.
That would be a very Dan comment towards me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also said, "Ask Tim why he has time for this, but not time to play poker in my place. Shots fired." Just on blast.
This is 45 minutes, and poker takes 2 days.
The
And there's
shade.
the commute. There's the commute.
Have you finished
Have
the
a
basement
commute.
yet?
Oh, retaliation.
Well, apparently, it's my understanding that that's more my fault for not coming over on the weekends, that I don't have the kids. Yeah.
So, Jazzy, I know you have a heart out in a few minutes. I want to give you a sec to real quick do your plugs before you have to take off.
Okay, yeah. So I go by Naturally Colorful Babe on Instagram and TikTok, where we have a good time, and YouTube, where we also have fun, and on Facebook. And then on Twitter, it's Natco Babe. And my podcast is called Your Nerdy Girlfriend, where I talk about the BIPOC female nerd experience from all fronts of being a nerd, and it's a fun time. It's a fun time. So if you ever just want to hear movie reviews or just about like cosplay or about what's going on in the Black cosplay world, like that whole Blurred Con incident, then definitely make sure that you check out Your Nerdy Girlfriend, because it's a fun podcast. It's hilarious.
Also, if y'all are not aware, Jazzy has one of the most incredible voices you will ever hear.
Nice.
I had the honor to have her sing at a fundraiser for my theater company before the COVID times, and she like blew
Back
the
in
roof
the
off
day.
the place.
It's because of you. My boss made me sing karaoke at the Christmas party.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I was like, why? She's like, I heard you sing, so now you must sing karaoke. I'm like, oh my god.
well, you didn't sing.
Jazzy,
you sang.
Do you know that you know me? Like, we're
do?
Facebook friends. We've met through karaoke over at
Yeah, I was
Blueberry.
looking at you. It was like,
But
she
my
was
hair
very
was super long back then.
Yeah, I was like, you
but-
look super familiar.
Yeah. Now Shelly got
Yeah.
that Sylvie hair, that Loki
Yes.
Sylvie hair now. So
I love it. It's the best
Excellent.
hairstyle for not washing your hair for a few days.
I feel that.
for the
That's
theater
what this is.
for the theater nerds out there, she's saying, "I'm here" from The Color Purple,
I love the
and
color
it
purple.
was like a bomb went off in that place. Oh, it was
Nice.
fantastic. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Just saying.
I thought the light was gonna work, but it made it worse. And I kept like trying to like sit in front of it, and so I'm just gonna sit in the dark like a weirdo
No, I
Look
like
over,
it.
and you're just like,
You're good.
because I'm like I'm tired of trying to block that out.
No, it's like the
Also,
end
Jazzy, I
of
definitely just followed you everywhere.
I'm gonna go follow you back.
I started creeping, and I was just like, ooh.
All right, before I go, I just want to say, everybody keep cosplaying. It opens so many opportunities. It opens so many doors, and you don't know who you're inspiring by putting on that cosplay. And I know it's a million people that you don't even know. So keep doing it, keep inspiring, and keep showing people that it's okay to be you.
Love it. That if that's not an outro, I don't know what is. Jazzy, thank you so much. Well, be sure to have you back on soon for all the things. All right, my people, let's keep going here. What are some of the best things you've like learned about yourself, like since you started cosplaying? Because I've heard a lot of really great stuff thrown out here already, but I'm wondering, like, what are some like things that you learned about yourself, empowering things you learned about yourself through the culture of cosplay?
HTC, you want to go first?
you can go first.
You've spoken the least.
I
you know how verbose I am. I'm like, oh, here's a topic. Let me talk about this for 17 hours. So like, I will talk, but like, I know that I need to let my introverted friends like have their moment to shine. So please, HTC, start.
I am an extrovert. You son of a. You know this.
Oh yeah, no, I know he's.
I guess the biggest thing for me was like I'd forgot how much I missed creating and then sharing that knowledge, and then creating with friends and getting back into this completely reignited that flame. And I didn't realize like how much that there was like the need, I guess, to create and express myself in that way. And it makes me a much happier and fulfilled person.
Mm.
And then being able to share what I've learned and mistakes that I've made with other people's or the younglings or whomever. It's nice to be able to give something back to a community that has given me so much.
Just not dressed as Anakin around the younglings.
Yeah, when you said young, my mind immediately went to murdering children. I was like, oh no.
That's exactly where my mind went. HTC was like younglings, and I was like,
There's younglings.
I'm the worst. It's cool. I ruined a really beautiful, pure moment.
No, I love that. And like, well, and so I think I'm ready to start trying to cosplay. And actually, I'm gonna, reach out to HTC about helping me create a set of Mandalorian armor,
Yes.
so that I can like, yeah, because I just would love to try it out. So I think I'm going to try and build myself a set of Mando armor, a Nick Fury costume.
Nice.
I'd love to do. And the thing I always wanted to do since I was a kid, which was Barrett from Final Fantasy VII, like, because why not? I'd love that. Oriana, what about you? What are some things you've learned about yourself through this?
Gosh, what haven't I learned at this point? Like, it's so cheesy, but in a way, I learned how to love myself. Like, I've always been the weird kid. I've always been like the kid on the outside. Like I bounced around friend group to friend group, but didn't really have like friends. Like I was just sort of like, I'm going to be here now and then I'm going to be over here. And like, in 7th grade, I showed up with the, I had just seen Cats on Broadway. And so I was the kid that showed up at 7th grade with my 2-disc Cats CD and like the pamphlet with the lyrics and the shirt. And I was like, memory. And everyone around me was like, who, what? No.
We would have been such good friends back then.
I instantly didn't have any friends in Indiana. So it wasn't until a girl during the talent show got up on stage and sang Over the Moon in a Trash Bag that I was like, oh, there's another one. And for those that don't get it, it's from Rent.
Yes, it is.
But so I've always just felt like on the outside, like I didn't really like fit in with like what everybody was doing. And so when I started cosplaying, I immediately just like felt like, oh, here's all the people that I click with. Like, here's all the people that understand me because like they're like me and I'm like them. And like seeing like bits of myself and all of those people like help me appreciate the parts of myself that I thought were bad because of the circumstance of where I like grew up and like who was around me. So that's a lot of how it helped me.
I
got a question.
Shelly, do you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Because I have more questions, but I want you to ask some questions too.
So, what do you prefer being, a like hero or a villain, or some other archetype? Which do you feel is most liberating and fun to be?
Why don't you start, HTC? Because you've got, you start.
I'm more drawn towards like the protagonist side of things. There's or like the gray, the middle ground. I just feel like I identify with them more than the antagonist. I haven't like I've cosplayed Vegeta, which falls into both categories, but definitely like the costume I put together is more towards like Cell Saga when he's kind of in that transition and he's in that middle.
Oh, that
ground,
costume's
but-
amazing. I wish we could throw it up there. That's one of the first costumes that I've showed my
Over
kids
there.
that you've done. Yeah,
If you send me
it's
the
amazing.
picture, Shelly, I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
To Facebook,
oh,
I
we're gonna
go.
get it. See it in person.
Oh,
It's right here. Let me go grab it. Well,
you don't get the
Make-
full effect if it's not on
Oh.
though. But yeah,
I need
look
to
at
remake
that.
him, but
yeah.
I like the battle damage on that. That's wonderful. That looks so good. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to build Mando armor. That gets me so hype. That's awesome. Oriana, what about you?
So I started off obviously with Sailor Moon, protagonist, Moon Princess, sparkly power. I went to Disney princesses like Cinderella, Little Mermaid, that kind of thing. And then I found the magnificence of villains by dressing up as Winifred Sanderson from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Now I'm obsessed with dressing up as villains, especially because I'm a drag queen, because I can make and it's not actually good that this is the way it is, but a lot of villains are queer coded. And so because they're queer coded, like it's a lot easier to drag them out.
Like Ursula?
Ursula. I mean, Ursula the Sea Witch, they've admitted at least to that queer coding of divine. But you look at like a lot of, especially Disney villains. I mean, they have heavy makeup. They have large pieces of hair. They've got like big, extravagant costumes or outfits that they're wearing. I mean, it's very queer coded. Often living like alone, like no like significant other or spouse. So like that like single thing is like, anyway, but I just love doing it. So like I've done Winifred Sanderson, Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon is super fun because I get talons when I cosplay her, and it's just like so fun to reimagine but I've kind of blended them. So I redid my Sailor Moon costume, and I've done Rogue as well recently. That was a long time one that I wanted to do for a while, and I finally LMAO. This is the way. I love the comment in the background.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mando just walking around in the background with a Batman t-shirt on. That's just perfect.
I definitely kind
Now
of
we know what's on underneath the armor.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I did kind of a thing like what Tim did, but I started off with like protagonist, then I went antagonist, and I like both. Like, I like both, but I like to make them like loud.
I accidentally did a closet Giovanni from Pokemon at Anime Magic last week, and I wanted to be a villain because I like their clothes. I got a thing for long coats.
Yes.
And all the male villains just dress so damn well. So I just threw some stuff together that I had in my closet. He said, "Oh, are you Giovanni?" I was like, "Yes,
Yes.
yes."
Free cosplay.
Yeah,
That's the cool thing. No matter how deep cut you go, there's someone there that knows it just as well as you. So you're like,
yeah.
I get that reference, and you're like, oh wow, that's amazing. So let's get into like the tech of like cosplay a little bit. Like how long does a costume take to make? Like, do you make them from scratch? Are you like finding pieces that would fit and then adapting them? Like, how does making a costume work
I'm gonna travel with you guys a little bit to a room with light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super professional.
Yeah, you're like Bane, born in the darkness.
Embrace it.
We need
it depends.
some intermission music.
It's like I've done everything from scratch building to closet stuff to mix and match to like competition grade things, and it depends on how much time I want to put into it, what my end goal is. Like if it's just a leisure costume, I'll spend less time on it than it would be like a showcase piece or a competition piece or something like that. So it'll be like anywhere from 8 hours for like some small accessory things, upwards of 1,200 hours, depending upon what it is, and beyond that. So it varies depending upon what I'm trying to do.
So the Vegeta that you showed us, that midsection piece, how long did that take to make?
I did him in a sitting initially.
Wow.
It was a long sitting. It was like a 20-hour sitting, but it was a sitting. So the OG, he's been modified slightly because it was so rushed. So I kind of hacked it up. I would say maybe a total of 30 hours into that.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. So Oriana, what about you? Like, what's your like? Are your costumes? Are you doing more like screen accurate, or are you doing Oriana's twist on the character? You say like you make them loud, you know?
Yeah, so I started off trying to be like really regimented, screen accurate, like, oh, let me get into all this detail, and I realized that was killing the love of like cosplaying for me. And so I when I started doing drag, I kind of paused on the cosplay and like leaned into just drag, and then I was like, wait, why am I not blending these two together? And so then I started blending them together. And so now it's like screen accuracy ish with like the twist of drag. So like if it doesn't have rhinestones on it, then I probably didn't make it. Like I use everything has rhinestones like all over it. So that's just like the little bit that I add, but it takes, I mean, a lot of my projects are sewing based. I know HDC does a lot of armor, electronics, like these large scale like pieces, and a lot of what I'm doing is smaller, like like corsetry, like gown, dress, or ice skating uniform, as we used to look for Sailor Moon outfits. That was literally like the only pattern available back in like the early 2000s, was like to find the quick sew ice skating pattern, and it was out everywhere, sold out everywhere. You had to like be at the right Joanne to find it. I just remember that. It was wild. But so when you said ice skater, I was like, oh, that's a core memory.
Oh yeah. And all the time that it takes to glue all the little jewels onto the costume.
Well, so I use a Cricut heat press.
Really?
So I don't use the glue anymore because that drove me insane. Because inevitably it got on everywhere and it fumes and all this stuff. So I get hot fix stones, so they have like a little bit of glue already on the backside. Mm-hmm. And then Cricut has a heat press that you can get in like 12 by 12. And you can turn it up to 400 degrees and then set a timer. Like it comes with the ability to set a timer for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. You put a little pressure. And so like I can do like thousands of stones, like just whip them out. Like here, this skirt has like a bunch of stones. Come here, friend.
Okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Bye.
So and they're like all over. Like
oh yeah. God.
And the great thing about the heat press is they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they're permanent. So I really enjoy it. And if that doesn't get me free money from Cricut, I don't know what will.
That is an absolutely gorgeous skirt. That's like Wonder Woman at a nice dinner party.
So this is the beginning of No Flutter has redesigned characters on their Instagram, and this one is the evil queen from the Disney movie Snow White.
Oh wow, I love that.
The bodice that goes with it.
Oh wow.
Oh come on!
And this I've spent the most amount of time working on.
Oh.
And so you can see the inside fabric is villains.
That's so cool.
It's like Maleficent and stuff on the inside.
I love it.
No one will see it but me, but
That's what matters.
I do it for me.
You know-
Yeah, it's sparkly, shiny.
It's the
I'll
same
have to
principle
get-
with lingerie, you know, when you're wearing it for no reason. It's you do it for yourself, for your own confidence. So.
Why I do it.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is flat steel boned, lined, corseted, like
Wow.
this took a long time to build, especially with like all the extra like details. So like all of this fabric was from like yardages of fabric, and I cut out just the parts of the design I liked and then glued them down, like reshaped them and glued them down, and then rhinestoned it. So it
I
took
love that.
forever.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I have to get you on next time we do a Disney episode. We a few weeks back we did a Disney song like ultimate battle. We had 4 divisions. So
Nice.
we had love songs, I want songs, showstoppers, bangers and bops, and villain songs. So each one had like a division. We did it like a bracket, and we talked it out at a panel of people, and we like each like argued for like this should be at 16, this should be at 15, all the way up to number 1, and then we put the final 4 against each other, the winners from each division.
Nice.
Yeah, Ursula like wrecked shop. Up in
I
that bad way.
mean,
Yeah,
that song is kind of a banger. So
yeah. And well, I think it benefited because it wasn't in Showstoppers, Bangers, and Bops. Was actually in Villain Division. It could easily have also been in Showstoppers, in my opinion. But that held true for quite a few of them. But maybe I've been thinking about doing a Disney Princess tier ranking. So maybe we'll get you on for that. Yeah, and we could do Disney villains as well. Would be a lot of fun.
I think that would be great.
Oh, I think
Mhm.
Elsa's the best because she doesn't need a man.
I don't know. Moana didn't even have a love interest, so
Thank
That's
you.
true. That's
Thank
true.
you.
That's
I was
true.
just about to say that.
You're right. You know what? You do have me there. That'd be a tight one.
Well, and Raya is pretty fantastic too.
Oh my
Raya's
god,
good.
it was so good. I
Yeah.
cried. It was such a good movie.
I just wish
love
we had music.
Awkwafina.
Aquafina was amazing in it.
Yeah, have you seen her show, Nora? Aquafina's Nora.
I have not seen Nora from Queens. I've not seen it
It's
yet.
so good. It's so good. It's so good. And the second season's about to drop, and my mind is like ready to blow up. It's so funny. Like
Okay.
I was just laughing the whole time. Like she could literally just read the phone book if those still exist, and I would love it. Like something about her voice is pleasing, and I just really like to listen to her speak.
She's got that wonderful rasp
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
love in a voice.
Yeah, North of Queens is a great show.
Okay, I have to check that out.
It was
I am
really funny.
currently binging. Usually, I'm binging like nerd stuff, like fantasy, sci-fi, comics, stuff like that. I don't know what happened. I am currently binging Friday Night Lights. It's so good, and it's so soapy, and it's so cheesy, and I can't stop watching it.
The only thing good about that show is Connie Britton, and you know it.
Connie Britton is amazing. She's amazing, and I love her.
She's the
But
reason why I watched Nashville.
I loved Nashville. Season 1 of Nashville is wonderful.
I really loved it. And then when they spoilers killed her off because she wanted to leave the show, I stopped watching like immediately. I was like, oh, the show's over. That's too bad.
I love watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel for
Yes.
like
Yes.
like the costuming is insane. Like insane.
It's so beautiful. So I started. This is off topic. Well, it's on topic, but anyway, I started going to college because of my love of sewing, and I was like, oh, like I'll, do some like costume design, and that's like what I want. Well, I don't actually like theater, so like I like watching theater. I don't really like reading plays, and like I don't care about Shakespeare. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't care about Shakespeare though.
I just don't like. He's a pretty terrible person. So like, I don't know why we're still like putting him on this pedestal.
August Wilson is my Shakespeare. Like I'm like obsessed with August Wilson, and like whenever people talk about Shakespeare, I'm like, watch August Wilson.
You're like, hold up.
Yeah.
When I realized that theater just wasn't my, and I left school and I worked in the business for a while in different places to really just be like, do I really not like theater, or do I just not like school theater? And like, I just don't. It's not what I want to do. It's fine. I know how to do it. I can do it. It's an easy fallback if I need to. So I'm back in school for fashion design. And so Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, like, yes, it's costuming, but it's also fashion because they're mimicking like the styles like of the period. And so like the just like such precise lining and like and stitch work that are on those costumes is just like, it makes me so happy. Like, and I just know that I'm in the right place, like, because like I had an entire class where all we learned for an entire semester, 8, like whatever a semester is, I don't know how many weeks it is, I don't know time, but like whatever a semester is, where all we did was learn about different types of fabric and how they're made.
Nice.
Like it was like from filament to yarn to thread to to weave to fabric, like it was everything, and I was obsessed the whole time.
So, in going into fashion,
everything?
Yes.
I can't walk through a mall, like a clothing section, without like kind of touching every single. Does this have the right
we got
feel?
textile kits, so we got swatch kits, and part of the class was putting them together. And so like so then we were in because the class was virtual last semester. But we had the kits are in person. So our instructor was like, now go to, fabric swatch 144 and like touch it. And I was like, I'm touching it. Like every one of the class is like, who is this kid? But my teacher really liked me and I did really well in the class. But like, yeah, it was just like, I was definitely the kid that was like watching exactly what she like peeling away the filaments of thread to like see like what it did. Like, was it a staple fiber? Was it a filament fiber? Like, did it have a jacquard weave or a plain weave or a crepe weave? Like what makes this fabric look the way it does when it's a fabric? And
now,
that was
do you feel like you're learning like more, like, or do you feel like you've learned a lot just from like the years of cosplaying going into the fashion design class? Do you feel like you kind of came with like a toolbox already?
Mixed, yeah. I would say I came with like toolbox light.
Okay.
Like toolbox light. Like the amount that I learned about fabric in that class was mind blowing. And there were moments where I was like, okay, I know what like dupioni is. I know what cotton is. I know what like taffeta is, but now I know why certain cottons look the way they do. I know how we obtain different types of wool and how it's actually vegan to obtain wool unless it's from vicuna, because that's really the only animal that is murdered for the fur that it has, because there's no way to trap it. It like freaks out and like kills itself. So so that's why most people don't actually, it's like illegal to get vicuna in many countries now. But like camel wool, like the camel just stands there like an asshole and you just like comb it. Like, and like you just comb it and like you take it and you're like, okay, thanks, camel. And like he walks off and he's fine. Like,
and he feels better because he's a little bit cooler.
Right. And like, but like how like in silk, you have to, when you harvest like the cocoon, you are killing the larva within the cocoon for the silk, which makes it a filament thread because it's all one long like thing of thread. So when it's woven together, it has a luster and a sheen because there's not so many breaks, which is what a staple fiber. That's why cotton is dull, or wool is dull, because they're staple fibers. They're shorter when they're twisted and connected, then it dulls them up. But you can get vegan appropriate silk if you want by getting silk noil, in which they allow the larva to emerge from the cocoon and then take the remnants of the cocoon and make silk out of that. But because it's broken, it's now a staple fiber and they call it silk noil. And so it's a bit duller. It doesn't have the sheen. But like learning, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't even know that was like an option. So like, I think I came with like costume, like fashion light information. And now I have like a lot of more information than I did before. And I'm not even I'm only just now in the core one of my fashion studio and fashion design classes. Like, and there's 3 more cores.
Oh, nice.
That I'll be taking before I do a mini show at graduation.
I don't know why, but
I'm so
just
excited.
then, as you were explaining that, in my mind, I came up with an idea for like a Pitch Perfect movie, but it's called Stitch Perfect, and it's just like this crazy like comedy about like fashion students and like having like fashion like walk offs at lunch and just
That anime
just went through my brain.
exists.
Does it?
See,
It's called Paradise Kiss.
Okay, there you go.
It's a 4-book manga, or it's like a 13 episode anime, which is almost identical to the manga. And it's like about these kids who go to an art school, and at the end of the year they have to give a fashion show, and they pick this random girl who's like in regular school, and her goal is to be a doctor, and she's like very like studious, and they like pick her at random off the street because something about her looks like a model to them, and then they sort of induct her into this like world of like moral turpentine, like with the art kids, and like it's really fun. Like it's 4 books or 13 episodes, but it's really fun. And Franz Ferdinand does the closing song.
Oh, nice.
I love Franz Ferdinand. Throwback. Last question for y'all before we go, because this is one I really wanted to get to, because I remember years ago there was a lot of incidents of like improper behavior with cosplayers, not with the cosplayers themselves, but with people interacting with cosplayers, to the point where I remember all of a sudden seeing like codes of conduct, giant codes of conduct signs at cons about like, you know, consent and like boundaries with people that are there cosplaying. And I'm wondering, just over the years in cosplay, is there some sort of code that has come up like in that community, you know, in cosplay, like, you know, even down to like people like asking to take your picture, not just walking up and just going click, you know, like, is there a code? Like, is there some sort of etiquette?
It's gotten better, but it's a lot of like that asking to take a picture versus just snapping stuff, or people getting upset when they get declined a picture because I'm in half of my costume and I'm eating at a cafeteria table, and then like I've got a sandwich halfway in my mouth. It's like, hey, can you take a picture? It's like, yeah. And then I'll sit there and pose with my sandwich in my mouth, and they take my picture, and then they walk off all humpy. But it's gotten better. I at least on the male side, there can still be some inappropriate touching, but it's definitely more prominent as a female cosplayer, and like people just like putting arms around them, or like,
or if you're just dressed
picking
in a feminine way.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Wow.
little tushy tap.
Yep, because as a drag queen cosplayer, as someone who always cosplays, you know, the female gender, or well, the feminine, you know, in gowns, dresses, skirts, things like that. Because you know, gender is not a binary, so just throwing that out there. But as someone who usually wears dresses and things like that, I get touched. I get the creepy hand in the small of the back, or like hand around the waist, but then like kind of like cupping
a little lower.
Cupping the love handle with their hand like right here, or like they kind of like want to come down a little bit, and like they get a little bit, which is like hilarious to me on my end, because my ass is a fucking couch, so like you're not grabbing anything real, it's all foam, baby, so like have at it. But like when I think about like them doing it to other people, that they are actually touching somebody, you know, and it's really gross. So I correct people who I don't know that are doing that. But I have noticed, especially with the younger, like, and I say younger because I'm, you know, encroaching 40, and so I'm talking about like 20s. But like the younger, like up and coming cosplayers, a lot of them will say like, may I put my arm around you? May I get this photo with you? May I stand next to you for a photo? So there is I have noticed like a difference in over the last like 16 years of like, you know, where people would just like honk my tit for no reason, and like now like people ask
Now they
before
say,
they
"Can I
my
honk
tit.
your tit for no
Yeah.
reason?" And
Can
you're
I
like,
honk?
"No."
They do because they want to know what they want to know what they are. I mean, now they're silicone. Like I have these like silicone like expensive titties that I got like a while back, but like yeah, now they do ask. But before, no, it was just rank, and I was just like, you realize
Jesus.
that's a water balloon, right? Like you're not grabbing anything. Like that was always my joke. Or like if they would come up from behind and they thought I was a girl, they thought I was female, and they like because my hair was long, and they'd be like, hey baby, and then like immediately I would whip around and be like, hey bro. And they'd be like, ah, because I was like, gotcha. Like, don't talk to me that way. It's gross. Like, maybe you should think before you open your dumb mouth.
So we have a comment here from Catherine, who's a host of our Star Wars show. Says, "I've noticed this in the theater world as well. Gay consent culture."
Yeah, I have to agree. I've noticed that in the theater realm as well. But it's like HDC said, like it's gotten better in some ways, and in others not quite yet. But you know, we just as people with penises, like we have to be outspoken, like for you know those who are being victimized, and like you know keep an eye out for our friends, and you know say something. So I've watched my friends like get cornered at a con, and like I show up and I'm just like, hey, I'm 7 foot tall in heels. What's going on, friend? Like, what you doing? Like you know, it's you just it like sucks, but like it's gotten better. But I would say the best thing out of it is that people are more outspoken about things when they see it. So like if they see somebody getting touched, if they see something happening without consent, or if something like directly happens to them and it's like, you know, hey, you didn't ask for my consent. Like I've noticed more people being outspoken and setting those boundaries, which I think is extremely important.
Yeah, I think it also helps that we've seen such a diversification in con culture.
Yeah,
like when I first started going to cons, it was like a bunch of like mostly like bearded white dudes, and then a little bit of everybody else. And now it's like it truly is like a pretty wonderful mixture of people and ages and gender identities and sexualities and like all the things.
Yeah.
And like now when I go to convention, I'm like, oh my God, like look how many people are just like proud of like their fandoms and enjoying them and dressing up in them. And there's like little kids and old people and you know young people. It's like it's just the most incredible thing to see how much it's changed as we've gone from like you know counterculture to popular culture, which is really cool to see.
It's one of my like if I can like plug for a second, it's like
please do. We're going into plugs next, so yeah, absolutely.
It's one of my main focuses as a drag artist coming into these anime conventions as a paid guest or a featured entertainer. My goal is to bring queer entertainment that is accessible to all. So that's all races, all genders, like all expressions, like of every type of human being out there, all ages. And so because I remember growing up in Bloomington, Indiana, and like there was nowhere to go at 14, like gay and like, you know, I made a lot of bad choices as a young person, like because I wanted to be gay, but you know, there was nowhere for me to be gay, and no one to talk to. And so having my drag race event, my drag show event where it's all ages, it's open to everybody to come in. I'm very explicit about that with cons. And they usually are very excited to have an all ages event that is queer friendly. That's usually kind of a draw for them to want to hire me. Because
I'd like to hire you. That like no, seriously, I'd love to hire you. I recently just wrote an inclusive children's book, and we're doing events around that, and I would love to have like queer performers for our children's groups that we're
let's figure it out. I'm reading stories at Bloomington Pride on Saturday for Drag Queen Story Hour.
Yes.
Even when we couldn't do Pride last year because of COVID, my local Pride organization asked if I would record Drag Queen Story Hour. So I did. I sat in my basement, got in makeup, put a sequin thing behind me, and recorded my favorite, books that I had on the shelf, like the Sneetches and Corduroy, and just like good, wholesome stories. It's just so important to me when I see kids and families like celebrating each other's own diversity within the family unit, like with each other.
Love it. And where can people find you? Because we're all up in the plugs now.
Okay. Sorry, I talk a lot. People can find me everywhere on
I lost
Instagram,
my sound.
on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Twitter, all that. Oriana Perone. It's my name in the box. There it is. My name, all one word. You can find me all over. I'm most active on Instagram, but I do have a website too, so you can check out like the stupid things that I sell. Like I'm in the process of making like more little plushie monsters. So that's me. HDC, I'll shut up now. So please speak. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
You're unplugged, baby.
So far away. Doesn't
that better? Can you hear me now?
There you go.
You were messing with us.
Auto
So.
shut off feature when it doesn't detect voice things, so you were talking too much.
Yeah, I talked so much the thing shut off. It was like, oh, you're done.
Is he being serious right now, or we're going to be actually serious and I hear him again?
I can't hear you again.
I thought it was a bit. I was like, this is so good. I was like, he's really good at that.
I thought he was doing a bit too. I was like, he's really committed.
Yeah, I was like,
my batteries in my mic are dying.
Yeah, all right, real quick. Plugs.
No. Hold 1 second.
Okay, I'll do my plugs while you do that. So everybody, next week we will be doing Dope Debate Club again. We will be doing our Civil War debate. So it's going to be Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. Very excited for that. We're going to have 2 new debate captains. I am the reigning champion of Debate Club right now. My team kicked ass. Shelly was on my team as well as my dear friend Gavin. You can go back and watch that one. That was really fun. That was Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings.
It got a little intense.
It got very intense. It was really fun. Like I said, next one is Civil War, Cap versus Iron Man. Also look for when our Star Wars show comes back, we're going to be doing a tier ranking of the 12 Star Wars films. So excited about that. I got a lot more fun stuff coming up as well. Also be sure to get my book, Hi, I'm Ella. You can get it on everydaywithella.com. It is an inclusive children's book. I'm gonna give myself a single real quick. Inclusive children's book for ages anywhere from 3 to 8. Really, it's awesome. It's a awesome multi-identity crew of kids from all different cultures. You learn different ways we say hello. We have conversations about gender neutral introductions, how to be a good helper, and more. It's really, really fun. Every Day with Ella is a conceptualized world that follows Ella and her friends as they navigate play, their emotions, and their identities, and it closely examines their social and emotional learning through a racial equity lens as they play, talk, and learn about the world. Also, there's a coloring book. So check it out.
It looks like Ella might be in the background. Just behind you.
Yeah.
She's right. There she goes. She got a mask on. Wear a mask, people.
Yeah.
Wear a mask.
We spent a little time with Ella on Sunday.
Yeah, I think you'll see some video in the near future.
And there's a couple of events coming up soon.
Yes, not ready to release that yet. Monday, tomorrow I'll be releasing some upcoming dates. There'll be an official release about that, but she'll be at the ice cream shop. She'll be at the local toy store. We're going to have some real fun stuff coming up. And if you ever want any read alouds, if you're a teacher or in a library or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. HDC, how we doing? Can't hear you.
No, I know. Sorry, I was just being an ass.
You got me.
But I didn't
You
realize
got
my
me.
batteries were that low. Sorry.
So
Hello.
it wasn't me, it was your battery.
Yeah, you're my battery. No. HDC Fabrication everywhere. Facebook and Instagram are active. I'm starting to be more active on the TikToks. Also, we'll be doing more like how-to stuff and things on YouTube soonish. www.hdcfabrication.com, and all our contact information's on there as well. But yeah, pretty all social media is at HDC Fabrication. And then the next big show we will be at will be C2E2 in December. We'll have a bunch of display stuff, and we do repair work for the convention, for costumes for the guests and whatnot. So it'll be good times.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Shelly, got any plugs you want to give us real quick?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I'm in the midst of so many random little things, and none of it's finished. So
Okay. When you're ready to plug.
I'm still working on my art story time for adults with Shelly Mack, which is wow. It is an honest, candid commentary on visual culture and art history, and you get to kind of learn some of the dirty little secrets behind artwork and artists, and some of the drama and things that you don't learn in your AP art history class or your college art history class. Like how Salvador Dali is a sadist, and how there's some drama surrounding the artist Anish Kapoor, who did The Bean in Chicago. Different fun things like that, and we get into it a little bit, and yeah. So I'll let you know when it's all ready.
All them artists was fucking. That's what happened.
Actually, Salvador Dali thought his genitals were gross. He thought genitals were gross. He did not really enjoy.
And some of those artists weren't fucking, y'all, but they were pooping on beaches.
Everybody's pooping on beaches.
Everybody's pooping on beaches, y'all.
Everybody's pooping on beaches.
There's just so much Freudian stuff going on, it's a fun time though.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everybody for being on the show today. I really had such a great time talking with all of you. This was so fun and so informative. I'm really excited to get into cosplay, and we will be tracking the show. So keep a lookout for that. Everybody have a wonderful night and stay dope.